Good morning. I'll open up the Kaneohe County Health and Human Services Committee. Welcome, everybody. Love the attire for those of you who got in the spirit here. First order of business is the adoption of the minutes that you received in your packet.
Move to adopt the minutes.
Gardner moves on the minutes. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Berg seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I thought we had some bills to pay.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Next item.
I will move that we pay the bills.
Good.
I'll second that.
So Commissioner Nissen moved on the bills. Commissioner Anderson seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do I have
A
this?
couple warrants.
I'll get in trouble.
Okay.
Right there
No, I mean, that it is.
on iCompass, but here you go. Very well.
All right, I guess we have a couple of warrants to be canceled as well. I'd entertain a motion. for the
I'll move that
cancellation.
we cancel.
Commissioner Anderson moves on the cancellation of warrants.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Nissen seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So we have a number of agreements, contracts to go over. Corinne, you're going to start us out today. Welcome.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Welcome.
Good
'Cause
morning.
this is the season for contracts as well as nice jackets.
Jackets. Just say jackets.
What I have on for you today is a contract with Woodland Centers, and the intent of this contract is for them to be able to provide the family community support, which is one of our requirements through the Children's Mental Health Act. And what Woodland Centers uses these services for and this funding for is to be able to provide independent skills building for our children who have an SED statements, that ability for them to do some in the community skills work, on supporting parents and looking at that community skills, how to get kids out, how to be able to increase that independent abilities and help regulate mental health, those sort of things. And what Woodland Centers uses these funds for is to really look at the uninsured or underinsured. They use this pot of money for that purpose. And the funds, it's $23,180, and they bill out monthly according to what the usage is. And so it's not, they're not just given the $28,000, it's really based throughout the year according to what the use is. This is the same amount. And for Woodland Centers, this has been this amount for a number of years. They have not asked for an increase in this, but it is a real helpful pot of money for them to be able to meet that need. And in meeting that need, what they're able to also do is to maybe keep some cases from coming into us and we needing to service those cases. So that's what the contract for today is about.
I didn't entertain a motion to approve that contract. Commissioner,
I will so move.
do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. Any discussion, questions? Commissioner Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Corinne, just for the general public, you mentioned SED, severe emotional disturbance.
Yes,
So
yes, it is.
this is for those children who
Yes.
suffer from that and for their families.
Yes,
Okay.
yep. And they have to get that SED statement through a DA. So a diagnostic assessment
Thank you.
is completed, which then makes that statement, which then allows them to have access to these services.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? What happens if the funds don't make it to the end of the year? The $23,180?
Woodland just does a really good job of really looking at on how many clients are taking in for the services and trying to spread that out as much as they can. Also, this again is that pot for that uninsured or underinsured. So they try to bill out every possible other resource before they would tap into this.
Okay, thank you. All right, If there are no other questions or comments, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Jo, who are going to present our third resolution of the year.
Third. Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
So I have just a little detail before I go into this. There's three parts to this resolution. We have the resolution itself, but then we also have the joint powers agreement with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. And then also there is a part which is court data services subscriber amendment, it's really wordy, to criminal justice data information. And that is an added document this year due to us doing a lot of reports for the courts and the privacy. And so they felt that we needed to have a contract with the courts also. So I'm here to present the resolution approving the State of Minnesota Joint Powers Agreements with the County of Candy, Ohio, and on behalf of its Community Corrections Office. Just some of the background information. Parts of our duties as probation officers is to complete criminal background checks, criminal histories on individuals that we work with, and that is usually ordered by the court, therefore why we have a separate document with the court. So that's a little bit of the information. In order to accurately do those reports, we need to have access to Bureau of Criminal Apprehension documents and reports. And so what we do in our office, we have 5 individuals that are able to run criminal history checks on people, and so that we work with. And those are, again, court-ordered from the court, or if we have a bail evaluation. So those 5 people go to training, and then they have to do a test and be certified, and then they have to go through certification every 2 years to make sure that they keep up their certification. In addition to that, we also, everyone in our office is certified to receive confidential information. So they have to go through security awareness training, and that is every 2 years. One of the things with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is that we cannot run criminal histories on just anybody. We need to have a reason to do so. So we track that, and we also have audits every year, or sorry, not every year, every 3 years, to make sure that our transactions coincide with the BCA and that we have a reason to do that. And I handle the audits for our agency. So we've always had good audits, so I'm proud of that. We haven't had any disparities, and it's really crucial that we follow all the rules and regulations in regard to privacy. If someone does do a transaction that is not authorized, that person could, that would go to Tammy, and then that person could be dismissed if it's a intentional and willful use of it. So I'm here to appoint Tammy as our, she would, gotta find my place here. She would be our authorized representative for our agency for for the Corrections Department. And then also our authorized BCA representative is Dana Goetz, who is our Deputy Superintendent from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. One other new thing this year, going on, is that we are going to be, we have never been charged before for doing our FBI work, but they are going to be charging us now a $50 fee per month, and that will be total $600 per year. We are not we have a direct site to BCA, so we don't have fobs or anything where we can be out in the field and access the information. If we did that, that would be a lot more expensive. So we have direct contact in our office with the terminals, so they're charging us $50 a month. Let's see. The only other thing I would have is what we have with the court. Again, that contract is new. It's intended to add the court as a party to the CDGN subscriber agreement and to hold us accountable to our obligations to the court in preparing our court reports. And we already have a judge that will be signing off on that down in the cities. So, do you have any questions for me?
Mr. Chair, I so moved that we approve, and make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-03.
So
I'll second that.
Commissioner Bergs moves on Resolution 2021-03. Commissioner Nissen seconds. Any discussion? We'll have two other motions
Right.
following this.
No.
Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
I'll move the joint powers agreement with the BCA.
Commissioner Nissen moves on the joint powers
Second.
agreement. I thought I heard a second.
Yep.
Commissioner Berg, thank you. Any questions or comments?
Ms. Gardner.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What did I say? I'm sorry, yeah. You knew what I meant.
I see in your face.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then finally, we have the court-ordered services subscriber agreement. I would entertain a motion on that.
I'll move that we
Commissioner
adopt
Anderson
that
moves on the agreement with,
court data services
Yep.
subscriber amendment.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Gardner seconds. Any discussion? Any questions?
I'll just add that, Mary Jo has been our TAC, the one that's been in charge of all of this information coming from BCA for a number of years, and we have not had any issues with audits, and many other areas have. Some of you have heard me talk about that to actually walk through our offices without, you have to either be escorted or you have to have passed our criminal background check. That's because of this part of what we do in our job of having access to these computers and the paperwork. So that's why we always escort people in and out of our office, because otherwise we have the chance of losing our access to this, so.
So that brings a question for me. Is that process that you use with the escort in and out, is that part of the audit? Do they try to ascertain that you're doing that every time, or is that?
I don't,
They look to see where our terminals are and what the access is to them. We used to have just one terminal that was in another office, secure across from me. So, but now with having other individuals and that are certified to run the criminal histories, and it's on their computers, so they have their office and the data right on the office, in their office.
they check on all
They
of those
check on
things
it.
and the paperwork, making
Yeah.
sure the paperwork has been shredded appropriately and everything that we have to do to make sure that we maintain our access to the
Access.
criminal histories and confidentiality.
Because oftentimes we think of an audit as dealing with just numbers. And
Right.
so in this case, we're actually auditing processes, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mary Jo.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas. All right. Pass point. Tony,
My turn already,
it is your turn already. We are 3 minutes ahead of schedule.
right? So, pass points, something that I'm going to talk about today with you.
Tony, can you introduce yourself first?
Oh, I'm sorry, Tony Parada, probation. Used to be at the sheriff's office, now I'm on this
Thank
side. So, pass points, something that we're starting to utilize this year for drug testing. Typically, when somebody thinks about drug testing, you hear about the patch, hair follicle testing, urinalysis, saliva testing, and blood. This new pass point system that we started to use this year in 2021 is an eye scan. So what it's set up for is for a client to go in, and it actually looks like an arcade game, kind of. They go in, they sit down, they look through a set of goggles, they trigger the scan, and it actually scans their eyes. And it'll scan their eyes to determine if there's any type of impairment. That impairment is typically through drugs. It also has attached to it a breathalyzer, where they can blow into that and see if they're positive or negative for alcohol. The process that we go through with PassPoint is a client, this is designed to be less invasive for our clients as far as doing an eye scan versus doing a UA. Okay, some people absolutely hate doing UAs. They don't like coming in and providing samples. This is an option for them. The PassPoint system, as we have it set up right now, is set up for clients that are currently sober, because in order for them to get put on the system to do the eye scan, they have to pass what's called a baseline urinalysis. That has to be clean. If they test positive on that UA, we cannot put them on the system because it'll always trigger. So they have to be clean first. If they are clean and we can get them baselined onto the PassPoint system, anytime they get called in for a random test, they will go to the jail lobby where the system is. They will enter their personal identification code and their fingerprint to make sure it's them, and they will do the eye scan. If the eye scan comes back where it is negative and it does not detect any type of substance use, they do not have to come in and take a urinalysis. And they do not have to pay for that urinalysis. So it's a savings for the client, typically of $27 if they pass the eye scan. The eye scan or PassPoint will trigger random UAs just like anything else, where even if they go over and they take the scan, some days it will trigger them to come over for a UA. Part of the PassPoint system for them that we have right now is an incentive for the client. If they get triggered for a random UA from PassPoint and they come to our office, they take the UA and it comes back negative, they're not billed for that UA. So it saves the client the money versus traditionally having to go down to either our office or another testing location, take a UA, pay the $27, or community work service to pay for the urinalysis. So this PassPoint system that we're starting to utilize, it's a benefit for some of the clients that want to actually get on the program and try and do it and are clean. It's an incentive for them to be clean and to abstain from use. There are a couple other counties in Minnesota that are using it. One that I'm familiar with, and I went down to visit their site and how they're doing location, is Anoka County. They like the system that they're using. They have a lot of clients coming through using the system, and it's been beneficial for them. Clients that I've dealt with right now really like the system and like using it because they don't have to UA all the time. It saves them money that they don't have to worry about coming up with or getting money on a card or borrowing money to pay for it, and then they don't have to go community work service to pay for it if they can't pay for the UA. So it's a benefit for them. The flip side, there are some people that don't want to, quote, have the government scan their eyes, okay, and don't want to participate, and that's their choice. It's not something that we are making our clients do. This is an option for our clients to come in and say, hey, I'll try this alternate form of testing versus always having to do a UA, always having to wear a patch, doing a saliva test, or something else. The nice thing with PassPoint also is other departments within the county could use the system with us. If they have clients that they're requiring to use drug testing for, if we can get them baselined, we can get them set up on the PassPoint, so it would be the same benefit for them. If they come in and they do the eye scan and they're testing negative, they don't have to come in and do a UA. So it's another form of testing for people. It's new technology. It's new to us. I like it so far. Clients like it that are using it right now. It seems like it's a nice benefit for our clients. Any questions from anybody?
Thank you. Are we approving, is this just for our edification today?
Just information.
So, Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tony, thank you for the presentation. Are there clients who perhaps have medical conditions for whom this type of testing maybe doesn't work very well?
There are some instances where I've had some clients that we have not been able to get baselined on the instrument because for whatever reason, it will not read their eyes. And whether it's a cataract, astigmatism, or something else, I've had 3 people that I just cannot get on the system. Mm-hmm. But if it's a medical condition, why, I don't know for sure. We do have one client who has one eye and he uses it. So there are things that, like certain medications can affect it. So if they're on a medication that they're taking for that day, if that's something's prescribed and they haven't told us, that could be why it's not letting them test, but it's not showing up on a UA for us. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Nissen and then Commissioner Berg.
We're saving the clients money, but what is it costing us? There's a cost to this product? Are we renting it or?
So we purchased this last year, this machine, and after purchase, we have a contract, I believe, for 3 years. So there isn't any cost actually for us at this point. We purchased this as part of our dollars from COVID. Because of the fact that it allows our staff not to be present in a small area to watch UAs when they're giving their UAs. I mean, otherwise we have them in a bathroom. So this is part of a change we adopted. Several other counties had adopted it before us, and we looked at this because of COVID.
Sounds reasonable, but what was the cost? Do you remember?
I don't remember now. I'm sorry, I'd have to look it up because it
That's
was
fine.
last year.
You can get back to me on that.
I will get back to you. I will tell you that when we look at it, we do over 1,500 UAs a year at least. And when you look at the cost of $27 a piece, it's substantially saving money for not only our department for the UAs that we pay for if somebody's indigent, but also, like he talked about, clients, because some clients have to do 4 UAs a month or more, and that ends up adding up to quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing, and the COVID thing as well. I'm just curious about the price.
Okay.
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It sounds like really one other good tool for your toolbox dealing with your clients. My question is, with the eye scan for the drugs, is that very similar? Does it pick up all the drugs that you expect it would pick up?
It's supposed to, yes. It's designed to pick up any type of ocular impairment, if you will.
Okay.
You know, and my understanding is it doesn't necessarily pick up the alcohol impairment, which is why there is a breathalyzer there as well. But so far, it's picked up things.
Okay, things like marijuana and stuff like that
Correct.
as well? Really?
Correct.
Okay.
So we have clients that have medical marijuana, if you will. I don't have them set up on PassPoint.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. So my question is then, is it just, you just get like a positive or they fail the test and then they do the urinalysis and then that tells you what they're doing or?
So when the client calls in and they're required to come over and do the PassPoint, they'll actually go over to the kiosk, which is in the jail. If you want to see it afterwards, in the jail lobby, if you walk in the jail lobby right on the right, there's what looks like an arcade game with handles and a goggles on it.
I think we saw it during the tour.
Okay. So when they get triggered for that test, they're going to go in and they will put in their individual code again that identifies them. They do their fingerprint scan. Then they sit down and they actually take the test. If a UA is triggered, whether they get a UA triggered or not, it prints a receipt out for the client. And it tells the client, you're required to take a UA, it's high risk, and it'll say THC, cocaine, meth, whatever on it. Or it'll print out a receipt that says, low risk, no UA required today. Instantaneously, once they've taken that test, their probation agent, and I'm usually included on all of them right now because I'm kind of the caretaker of this, we get an email right away. Once they've done that scan, it tells us they're required to come in and do a UA, or they're not required to do a UA. And right now we have the clients, if they go over to take their test and they're required to do a UA, they come over here to the probation office and we will do the UA for them. That way we can make sure they're not having to pay for it. Some of our clients will still choose to go and get a test done somewhere else where they traditionally go instead of having to come over to the probation office.
Okay. But it does identify the drugs or whatever they're on.
It identifies, it'll put all of them on there. The machine itself, the instrument itself does not know what kind of impairment it is.
Okay.
It's just that there may be some type of impairment.
Okay.
And then it also, again, it will trigger just random UAs as well.
Okay.
So it's still part of that random factor in it versus just picking up a positive eye scan.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? So I had a couple, so you already mentioned about the different compounds and that it may not be picking up alcohol. And so you sort of answered that because it goes with a breathalyzer. But when they're doing the baseline, if somebody's on a medication, would that medication be part of their baseline? Is that something you'd be expecting when that person comes
Yes.
in and tests?
So when a client comes in and they're gonna do their baseline, typically we know what kind of medications our clients are on. So if a client comes in and says, I'm on such and such prescribed medication, we can still do the baseline with them because it's not an illegal substance for them, and the baseline will be valid. If they stop taking that medication, or if their medication changes to something else, that can trigger a test, because it's not baseline for how their eyes were that day when they scanned, because there's medication change.
So is there a process then, their doctor recommends a change in medication, either to a totally different medication or a different dosage? Is there a process for setting up a new baseline without having to do the urinalysis?
Right now, no. If we're gonna re-baseline somebody, a UA is required just to make sure that they are still clean from the illegal substances versus, having your prescribed medications. Now, obviously, if somebody gets prescribed an opioid, that's still gonna pop as an illegal test, or a failed test, because it's a controlled substance. And we try and work with clients on that. I've had clients that have told me, by the way, I just had a dental appointment, they put me on pain pills. I get that, we understand that. So that wouldn't require a new baseline for me. We'll just monitor that while they're on the prescribed medications, and then we can adjust it later. But it's similar with pregnant females. With a pregnant female, you have to do a baseline at the second trimester, and then 2 months after they deliver, because of hormone changes in the body. So we do accommodate that. If we have to re-baseline people, we do,
Thank you.
or can.
And then, does it require calibration, periodic calibration, in case, those baselines change, or?
Not to my understanding, no.
Okay.
Not like a data master.
And then if somebody tests negative, and I suspect that nobody gets to go in with their buddy to do the test, because I'm going in and have your buddy put the fingerprint down, and then he sits down or she sits down and does the scan. There's precautions or safeguards in that area.
One of the reasons why it's in the jail lobby is because there's cameras in the jail lobby. The reason why it's set up for people to have to do the fingerprint scan is the client actually has to be there. Now, I have not yet got wind of somebody trying to do that yet. It takes a third party in there with them to have them try and do the scan, but I don't believe the scan would read right, because it's not going to capture their eye signature.
Because they
So
never
it
set up a baseline.
Right, so it should trigger a test if they have somebody else coming in to do the test for them.
So, Commissioner Nissen, this is hauntingly familiar with one of the safety meetings we had in our committee for COVID. I think the sheriff talked about it, didn't he? Or maybe it was Tammy Jo. Did we talk about this in our committee as one of the purchases we were gonna make with?
We did.
Here, that's what I thought. Okay. That's why you didn't know about it. You weren't at that meeting. Any other questions for Tony? If not, thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming in, and Merry Christmas. It was
Thank you. Merry
a
Christmas.
cool presentation.
Thank you.
Hey, Tony, can you take Raleigh's jacket away with you?
If I did, I might have to wear it.
So we're gonna go ahead.
I'm going to bring Holly up.
Okay, you go ahead and make your introduction then.
Okay.
That's about what I was going to do on the Prairie Lakes Youth Programs.
Okay, so we're going to try and add her. This is Holly Booth from Prairie Lakes Youth Programs. I asked her to come talk about the new programs at our Juvenile Center and how things are going over there as we're going to get started. I'm going to try and get this set up. Well, she can introduce her, say a few things.
Sure. Good morning, Holly Booth, Prairie Lakes Youth Programs Executive Director. Nice to be with you again today. We will just get this plugged in here. I'm going to share with you some updates on our programs at Prairie Lakes and the expansions that we've had. We are wrapping up the end of our 30th year of programming here in Wilmer. And so there's been significant growth over those 30 years, and I will be sharing that with you here in a moment. This one. Above it.
Yeah, I have that. There we go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see here. There we go. All right, so Prairie Lakes Youth Programs, here's our mission statement. This is adapted over those 30 years, as you can imagine. We provide a safe, secure, and positive environment for our youth. We foster an environment of therapeutic, cognitive, and evidence-based programming. It is with growth that PLYP aims to give youth the essential tools to lead a successful life. So we have an entire continuum of services from traditionally, when you think of the past of Prairie Lakes, there was our secure detention and corrections unit. We've now expanded into, as you can see here on the screen, an entire continuum of services from our secure unit to our non-secure options and our group home placements. Prairie Lakes Youth Programs is operated by the Joint Powers Board of the following counties: Chippewa, Candy, Ojai, Lackaparle, Swift, and Yellow Medicine, located right here in this neighborhood in Wilmer. We are licensed by the Department of Corrections, and we are licensed for male and female youth ages 10 to 21, typically to 19, extenuating circumstances to 21. Placements can come from the judicial system, Health and Human Services, counties, individual families. Again, here this slide shows you our 5 programs. We now have 5 programs, and I'll go into each of those in a moment here. So the first most restrictive program that we have, our first program that Prairie Lakes had is our secure program, now called Toledo's Passage. This program can house 23 males and females at a time, and that's in that first building, the 1808 building, in the middle floor and the lower level floor. In this program, we provide behavioral supports, goal setting, and social emotional learning and development, along with all of the therapies and individual needs that our youth have. The next program, this is a brand new program that, you've heard me talk about this recently and seen our materials. This is Leo's Legacy, a new non-secure program to really expand that continuum. So this is the first step after a youth has completed their time in our secure unit, or also from other placements where they need a more restrictive placement, but yet non-secure. So the doors are not locked for these youth. This program houses 16 males, provides behavioralized stabilization, life skills development, and is trauma sensitive. Our other non-secure program then is for our older youth, again males, Captain's Academy. And Captain is the name of our dog that lives in that program. And so the letters of Captain have created this name for courage, attitude, perseverance, trust, achievement, integrity, and new beginnings. In this program, our youth are working through the last credits they need for high school. They have jobs in our community, working on independent living skills, working on future college and tech trade opportunities. And some of them have already started that, and they are involved with volunteering and completing community service. We also have 2 group homes in the community, a boys group home and a girls group home, Haven House and Integrity House. One is for males, one for females, and they both have up to 12 at a time. They are community-based, and the focus for these programs are on reunification and establishing connections in a healthy manner with their families and with those community partners. They are also trauma sensitive. Lake Park School provides our school service and Prairie Lakes Education Center. This is both through the Wilmer School District. They are on site in our 2 buildings, providing the services there for our youth. Additional services that we provide for our youth at Prairie Lakes Youth Programs are our therapies. We have on-site and through video conferencing therapies. Many of our youth, it's been a nice positive through COVID that the therapists that they had when they arrive on our site, they can continue to keep those relationships in place. Others switch to one of our on-site therapists. We have individual, group, family, chemical dependency, and medical unique need therapy supports. A lot of involvement with volunteering. We have volunteers that come into our sites as well as our youth doing volunteering. So mentoring, learning skills and trades with those volunteers, going on outings, fishing opportunities, and many others for our youth with those mentors that come in, and then the opportunities that they have to go out and give back as well. We offer spiritual services for all of our youth as they choose to participate on site, and then also outings for them to our local community churches. We provide books and materials and other ways to help meet that need. And we have a significant involvement with diversity and culture needs for our youth, very much relationship-based and customized to each youth and who they are. We have a very diverse staff, and with that staff, we have them connect on one-to-one check-in basis with youth who match that diversity. Opportunities on and off site for cultural awareness and outings. We have groups, materials, and again, check-ins. So much more as well that we provide services. Here's a picture of Captain, our dog at Prairie Lakes. He lives on campus. We're the first DOC site in Minnesota where a therapy dog actually lives all the time in that program, and staff are all trained as handlers. He's an amazing positive aspect for our programming, for staff and youth alike. Any questions that you have for me about Prairie Lakes youth programs?
Yeah.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. My question is approximately how many youths are in this program right now in the whole?
As a whole, we have, from 12 in a program up to 23 in our biggest program, but altogether about 80 when all beds are full.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? Of those 80, what's the typical capacity? Do you run 100%, 70?
Yeah, well, it's varied over COVID from very low, I think, down to maybe 20%, but now we're around, I would say, 80% capacity.
And I understand we take clients from all over the state of Minnesota.
Yes.
And when we take a client from, say, St. Louis County, does St. Louis reimburse us or reimburse you, I should say, for some of the costs if they are unable to provide their own financial sustainment?
Yes, yep, it's per diem based, and then any of the medical or other costs that are accrued are billed back to those counties.
Commissioner,
I just have one more quick question. How long are these people on average in this program? Are they when they get done with it, do they go back out in the community, or are they going on to like a regular correctional facility afterwards, or is it a whole range?
There is a range along with that continuum that I shared with you. Some youth in our secure program stay with us one night until they are in front of a judge and that team and make the decision that they can move along to another location. And that may be one of our other 4 programs. Other youth stay with us. An average stay in one of our non-secure group homes is about 8 months, and we have some youth up to 2 years. And again, that goes back to then those team decisions of where they go next. If it's healthy and safe in their homes, many will return to those homes, and we provide those supports and those connections along the way. Others may move along to, within our system at Prairie Lakes, a more secure program again for a while, or stepping back again, kind of back and forth based on those needs that they have each time. But typically back to families.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Berg.
Yes, Director Booth, would you please comment about the rates, the per diems that different counties and the host counties pay, how that's different, and also maybe some of the contracts we have, and also comment about the recent inspection and some of the remodeling?
Sure, yes. So our per diems, as we've talked about at previous meetings too, have increased starting January 1st so that we can really support the need for those therapeutic services and those other services that we offer. So that will take place on the 1st. And then what was the other part?
Well, and there's a discount though for the...
Yes, so our member counties have a discount of $40 per day. And then we do have some additional counties that have contracted where they purchase so many beds per month to ensure that they have a space for their youth. And then, yes, our inspection, we recently went through inspections with the DOC, and that happens every 2 years. And all four of our buildings, so 5 programs within 4 buildings, have passed those with some minor adjustments to transition with myself, new director, and as things have evolved over the years too, some adjustments there, but all of those are implemented and in place.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you very much, Ms. Booth, for presenting to us today, and wish you the merriest of Christmases.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Good job, Boo.
Tammy Jo will wrap this up with juvenile probation update.
Good morning, Tammy Jo Lieber, Probation, Community Corrections. I just wanted to actually just bring a little bit forward. We've talked a lot about probation during the last year in our meetings, and I just wanted to talk about juvenile probation just a little bit. My juvenile officer, April Jones, isn't here today. She'll probably present more in detail maybe later on next year, but just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what we do with juveniles. It's similar to what we do with adults, where we start with a pretrial supervision. We do what's called a PDI, or predispositional report, where we collect all the information like a pre-sentence investigation and provide it to the court. And then we also do supervision. One of the reasons we've done very well with juvenile supervision over the years, and our caseloads we've seen shrink just all the way across the state, but also here in Candiota County, has to do with we have excellent diversion programs and victim offender dialogue. Anytime we can keep a kid out of the system, the better off they are. And so the highest risk they are is when they're actually in the system. So we kind of try and keep them in diversion programs and move them along. But just like with adult probation, there's some kids that do need supervision or placement outside of the home, and so then we provide those services through our office. Right now we have one full-time juvenile probation officer, and then we have another juvenile probation officer that does part-time juveniles and part-time adults, just to kind of keep things together. Our primary focus is the same as public safety, but we do really have to dig into rehabilitation with juvenile offenders and how we can bring them forward so that they don't commit future crime. I really just wanted to kind of give you that kind of an update. If you have any questions about juvenile probation?
Any questions for Tammy Jo?
I get
Go ahead.
one. So these juveniles, are they in the Prairie Lakes Youth Program, or are they at home? Or?
The majority of juveniles on probation supervision are at home.
Okay.
We always look for least restrictive environment. No matter what's going on with the kid, if we can have least restrictive. So that might mean either at home, or if need be, the first place we'd look probably is foster care through social services. And then if need be, then we go into Prairie Lakes Youth Programs or a placement setting outside of that. Right now, out of all of our kids, we actually only have 2 kids in on-home placement. Neither one of them are actually here at Prairie Lakes. They're at other facilities because of their needs.
Okay.
All right. Well, then I wish you a Merry Christmas as
Merry
well.
Christmas.
And thank you for presenting. Nothing from you today?
Nothing from me today.
Director, thank you. Well, then this meeting will be adjourned.